Here in week 2 of the CCL action. My name is McCormiel. With me is Cash, and as we'll try to live up to the hype that we saw between our last series, that was a crazy, chaotic finish on Berlin that went down to 250 to 249. Well, we've got the Battle of Queen City to try and go ahead and combat that. Now, Cash, first and foremost, how you feeling? Welcome to the CCL. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you. I appreciate the warm welcome. I'm very excited. Like you had mentioned, after coming off of what we just witnessed, I'm excited to see if we can live up to the hype. I think this rivalry can do that, so I'm looking forward to getting things going tonight.
Well, you mentioned it right there, the word rivalry. Big, bold letters on this matchup. JCSU, Johnson C. Smith University, Niner Esports, University of North Carolina, Charlotte. Now, if you're wondering about either of these two teams, well, you don't have to look far. Last season, they were inside of the CCL. Now, for the side of Niner Esports, it's a bit different. Completely new roster, but as we look head-to-head here, 3-0 for UNCC thus far, 4-0 in Hardpoint, 2-0 in Search and Destroy, and on the exact same side for Johnson C. Smith, we're looking at the same thing, except it's a 2-0 record, of course. I believe it was a forfeiture win there for Niners Esports already. So that's why the difference in record is there, but win-loss overall is still the same. Speaking on this just a little bit more, last season we were talking about how Johnson C. Smith, they were a team that not only made top cut inside of their division, but also finished T48 inside of playoffs. Pally talked to players, and the general consensus is they're prepared to be a top 25, not only power ranking team, but of course ready to finish top 16 overall inside of the season. And that's really going to be the storyline going into this matchup. Are they a team worthy of that placement?
Absolutely, and we talked about some other things coming into this about maybe what led to that, still decent finish, but one that they're looking to improve on this year, and it was definitely their S&D gameplay, bringing back 3 players and things like that. That definitely helps them, and bringing in a new player helps them to improve on things that they've already been able to build upon in that prior season. So for things we're looking at for them, it's going to be that S&D we want to see them improve in, of course, and that'll definitely help them climb into that top 25 finish. So they're capable of that, they know what they need to do, and that's definitely going to help them in their placings for this year. So nothing to knock on from their last season, but of course a team like this, they're going to want to improve.
Directly mid-pack team was Johnson C. Smith last season, but you bring back 3 players. It is going to be Kaze, Tempest, and Kreza. Now, Kreza, you might not necessarily recognize the name right out the gate, but formerly as Rambo last season, Rumbo, however you'd like to pronounce the player's name, was the leading KD scorer on every single game mode and every single combination that you can find, was the leading player throughout the entirety of last season for JCSU. So bringing back Kreza is going to be a huge step in the right direction. Of course, Tempest, the team captain from last year, you won't find much better of a team captain inside of the CCL than Tempest himself. And the thing is you might not be the best team inside of the CCL. You might only have an 8-9 record last season, but going into a new season, bringing over that same leadership year over year, it's going to be so influential for your team as a whole, simply due to the fact that with having that in-game voice, with having such a strong voice behind your entire team, it's just going to make that transition with Easy coming and joining this roster that much easier.
Absolutely. It does the intangibles for gameplay that, again, don't show up on the scoreboard. It's the things like the chemistry and the rapport that you have with these players behind a good in-game leader. Those are things that makes differences when it comes to that late season run you're trying to make. So, like you said, kind of that middle of the pack finish last year, but bringing back that leadership that you're getting out of Tempest, that's going to work wonders for this team. And just like you said, just help foster an environment to help grow that young player in Easy. It's looking like a good recipe for them.
Take a look at the Niners Esports roster. Dark, Fitty, and Coot Smiley. A brand new roster for Niners Esports, as we did go ahead and kind of lay out for you at the top of the show. But Dark, being kind of the outstanding player, comes on as the team captain. And inside the introductory video for Dark to the Niner Esports roster, there also was a slight jab at JCSU that kind of sparked the catalyst of the rivalry between both of these two schools. Above anything else, this is not only a pride match, but really a power ranking almost match at the same time.
Yeah.
Because whoever takes this best-of-5 series, we're going to be looking to them as one of the leaders inside of their Pool B inside of the Southeast Division. Now, that pool is completely filled to the brim with teams that are going to pepper in there to not only find noteworthy opponents, but of course teams that should be able to make it out of their pool and into playoffs. Teams like HPU, Clemson, Liberty, just to name a few teams that were not only great last season, but have already showed out this season and still boast undefeated records. So, as we talk about the Battle of Queen City in its entirety, we also have to talk about our map set here. And for map number 1, we'll be going and throwing things quickly on over towards a Bacage. It's going to be chaotic to start the series. Then we'll get a double dose of Tuscans for map number 2 and 3, and of course 4 and 5. If we need to get to maps 4 and 5, will be 2 Berlins back to back. Now, Cash, talk to me a little bit about this series, and of course how this is going to play out in either team's favor.
Yeah, so it's going to play out well for JCSU tonight if they can work on the things they've been wanting to do from last year, which is going to be improving that S&D. And thus far this season, they are undefeated in that. Haven't dropped the map, so looking good in that area. And then if you're the Niners, you're just looking to play that respawn heavy that you know you're good at and that you can take away with the series. And they could do that in a 3-0 fashion. They're solid in their S&D, their respawns are dominant. And so they're looking to take this in a 3-0 fashion. That's what's going to get things done for them tonight. If they can come out strong, get their guns hot fast, and keep rolling with that, they could walk away with this one. Now, if you're JCSU, you're just looking to do well in your respawns like you have been. And if you can also pick off that S&D, then you can do it in a 3-0 fashion. And that's what's so exciting about this series tonight is that either could go 3-0, and I think for that spells for us possibly a game 5, especially with the game with as much tension and rivalry as this one. It could definitely go the distance, but I wouldn't be shocked if either team decided to come out early and come out swinging hard.
And I think you kind of highlighted that perfectly, too, because obviously we have two teams that can obviously win a series very influentially in either their way or their opponent's way. You look to that possibility of a Game 4, possibility of a Game 5, and it's very evident that both of these teams, again, want to win this pride match, want to win this grudge match, want to continuously up their ante, going up into the top of their pool, because when we get to that second split of the season, when we get to that Stage 2 portion, you want to put yourself in the best position possible to be able to make playoffs. Remember, out of these pools, only 3 teams are going to be moving out of their pools and into the playoffs. A different kind of format overall than we had last season. So if you are just joining the CCL for the first time here inside of Season 4, welcome. We appreciate you for joining us. It's going to be a great time. And of course, we've got 2 teams here that have a ton of not only grit to prove, but really just from last season, they just want to improve overall in general. As we talked about beforehand, JCSU, they came out, you know, you had an 8-9 season, you were direct mid-pack, it's okay, but again, talking to Pally earlier on, saying that you want to be a top 25 power ranking team, saying you want to be at least a top 16 playoff team this year, it's going to take getting hot and heavy right out of the gates in order to shut down opponents like Niners Esports, who come in with a brand new roster. They were 5-11 last season. Nobody had Niner Esports on the radar. But it was thanks in part due to a really, really nice set of recruiting from the side of Niner Esports and the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. That puts them in a spotlight. That puts them in a position now to be talked about as a potential top 3 team inside of Pool B in Southeast. But of course, then a playoff team even further upon that fact, which would be a huge turnaround year over year.
Yeah, both of these teams, it starts tonight for them to really come out and show improve what they've been building on in the offseason, what they've wanted to make their improvements. And like you said, for the Niners, it's great recruitment on their part to go out and seek these players, come in with a new roster, and show that, hey, we're a contender early. Like you had been mentioning, it is early in the season, and this is going to be that match for either team tonight. Whoever comes out and wins this kind of cements, like, hey, we're looking to compete in this pool and in this division, and that's what we want to come out here and do. So for the Niners, like you said, it's coming out with a new roster, and it's just continuing to crank out wins as they have started off the season with, going undefeated thus far in all of their series counts. And then for JCSU, looking at them, we keep harping on their S&D, but just to give it some frame of reference, they were 5-15 last year in their S&Ds, and by any standards, you know, that's not too great. That's something they definitely want to make improvements on, and they're already on the track to do much better than that. So just, you know, using their young player and activating him to help get them those wins, help get them momentum, that's going to be huge for their S&D gameplay, and not letting series go all the way to map 5, right? We saw kind of where that was dangerous for them last year as well. So for JCSU, it's going to be closing series out early. And then if you're Niners, yeah, you want to take things as you have been, which has been dominantly, and it's just been collectively this new roster. They're meshing, gelling well, starting off undefeated. Both look good. It's just those improvements they need to make to solidify that postseason, like you're talking about, what they're looking for and what they're looking forward to.
If we look at Hardpoint specifically for these two teams, at least early on in the season, again, both boast a nice 4-0 record inside of Hardpoints, as you do remember, even though the series that they have won have mostly been 3-0s. The thing is, of course, since we don't have control in just yet, I believe we're going to be seeing that in the coming weeks, but since we don't have control just yet, we are still playing 3 Hardpoints, so that third map is going to be another Hardpoint to keep that respawn in tandem. So overall, as we go ahead and take a look at the flyover on Bacage, it's going to be extremely important to go ahead and find yourself with a map 1 win out of the gates. If you look to the side of JCSU, hardpoint differential between their teams that they've gone ahead and beaten hardpoints has been 95 points. So you've been winning your hardpoints handily, although for the side of Niner Esports, you're looking at 105-point differential. So a 10-point differential there, I mean, that really could be all the difference it needs to take here on a Bacage to take map number 1, obviously, since it does go down to the wire time and time again. But realistically speaking, I think this is a toss-up here to just at least start this series off. Now, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to take Niner Esports here because I love Dark and I love the rest of the roster that's going to complement Dark inside of this series. But at the same time, you could look back to a trio that played all year together last year and is hungry to go ahead and prove something against a very, very strong and noteworthy opponent. So we'll just have to wait and see which one is going to prove the right way. But as Fiddy goes ahead and finds the first blood in the game, a pinstripe kill feed will allow for a little bit of congestion in middle map. 2 kills for Tempest off the rip, and it's going to be the side of JCSU on the outside looking in.
JCSU on the outside looking in, but looking at these spawns, they're going to have this left-hand side of the map here, so in control for P2 as we start to make our way that way, only halfway through this P1, and kind of that coin toss like we always say for this P1, not anyone getting too much time, but looks like JCSU is going to try to grow their lead here as there's just a mid-map battle in Zig, and holding on to those left-sided spawns is going to be important here because, like you said, a map like Bakash that comes down to the wire in the way that it does, and so often that it does, it's very important to get the scrap time and the points that you can early, and that's exactly what JCSU is looking to set up here as they're going to be under, but looking to go back in the P2.
From the front, we'll go ahead and find 2 on the rotation. Rest of the teammates controlling the barn right now will hop down towards the middle of the map. You see on the right side of the minimap, the Niner Esports roster is starting to make that push up towards the point. Not a lot of time gaining here just yet. P2 still relatively vacant right now. 3 arrows of yellow surrounding the point. JCSU trying to get on back, but as Dark and Smiley go for 2, Easy will find a double, and Tempest will go ahead and pair. That should be enough to go ahead and find the break, and it will be. So, as JCSU will get themselves in towards the point, 35 seconds left on the hill. Not just yet in the realm of possibility to think about rotation.
And the play early on there from JCSU was Easy, just causing problems in the back, forcing those Niner players to turn around and have to hunt him, and that's what made it easy for them to try and make things happen for him there. So they're down now about 30 points here, trying to make things happen, trying to look at some kind of rotation, but they're going to try to go behind the gunfights and everything that Tempest are taking at 6 and 5 here. P3 control looking like it's going to be in their favor as they're going to look to hold this one, get a full 60, and that will get them the lead here as well. So the slang looking pretty even for Bakash as it usually does, and we're going to see this hill pop, and JCSU is going to try to carve their way back in.
Quick early lead here for Niner Esports. On the rotation, though, there's going to be the Johnson C. Smith. Have themselves in towards the point. Fiddy tries to slide around the side. Tempest is going to be there to shut down, though, so a 40-point difference early on here. Again, not completely unmanageable to be able to come back from, but it is going to take a bit of slaying out and towards the top. You get the first one. You're going to peek back around the corner. Smiley with a beautiful shot from the MP40 there is going to get enough to clean up 2. Start to go ahead and bring this back just a bit more in towards the point. It's going to be yet another break from the side of Niner Esports. They get through the front door. Anka with 2 and Smiley with 1. Tempest with the trade. It is going to be enough to go ahead and get the scrap time here. As you see everybody from the left side of the map, it's JCSU who are spawning out. You want to go ahead, find that barn, clear it out, sit down, squat up, make sure you can get those kills to the middle of the map.
Yeah, and it's Anka that can cause problems here on the top side of the map. You can get a couple of picks and start to work in progress for this team. They can make something happen, but they're just kind of going to do dance around this tank here at the top side of the map, and that's going to be won by the players of JCSU as they're going to be in control early for this. Close spawns coming in on the side of Niner Esports. They're going to try to break in from this left side, and they do successfully as they're going to end up going 4 for 1. So not a bad deal for them to get in here and continue growing their lead. And JCSU looking to have that wrap around the left side again the same way that Niner just got in. They're going to try to do the same things. They're going to try to work picks here from this left side and work their way in. It's going to be a collective 4 effort. They're going to take 2 down to go here and try to flush out the rest as this time's just going to be contested. They've got a ways to work back from, but it's nothing that a simple hill break and good hold can't fix as they're going to finally get in here and try to look to get the rest of this time. And Niner, they're playing well, and that's going to be behind the slaying of Smiley and Fiddy for him to start.
Dark will fly out. Kaze was going to be there for the trade, though. Fiddy should be in. Tempest doesn't want to push out. Nanku makes a nice little pinch play around the back. So that's going to set us up for 10 seconds of scrap time in the way of Niner Esports. One thing is, slaying-wise, team's relatively even, but you can obviously see the clear disparity in terms of score for the Niner Esports roster, and that just comes down to everybody being able to play in towards the point. Right now you can see that hill time so evenly spread out against so many of the players. That's one of those things in Hardpoint that you love to see, everybody being able to get their fair share of time and, of course, help out the team in the best way that they know how to. Stun around the corner. Tempest going to be the first one to go ahead and shout, but Fiddy and Anku are going to be there to shut down the first 2 pushers. Niner Esports, you look for your fraggers to be able to entry in towards the point, and you do just that. JCSU, once again, going to be on the outside looking in. And this game really isn't looking back right now. We said it was going to be closely contested. We said this map was going to be relatively hot and heavy, but right now it's looking at anything but that, as JCSU just haven't been able to find their footing.
Yeah, whenever they've been able to get the break, they've been able to hold it for, 10 to 15 seconds, but it always seems like Niner Esports are willing to give it that one last break at the 15 to 20 second mark, and it's just been JCSU, something where maybe they can get the back 25 seconds of a hill. They've just been unable to, as Niner Esports aren't giving up any of the scrap time, and it's showing in the scoreline as they've now doubled that of JCSU here. So it's just their willingness to fight like we see here. They're getting the rest of this scrap time as we're going to make a rotation back over to P1. That's just the difference for me in this game, is that Niner Esports, even if they get broken, they don't chalk it up with the lead that they have. They aren't chalking it up to just say, let's just go rotate. They're winning the rotation battles. They're winning the scrap time battles. And so there's really nothing they can do wrong here as we get back to this P1.
One of the keys to success for the side of Niner Esports was to be able to steal map number 1, find yourself an early respawn, and then be able to capitalize on a search and destroy, which Johnson C. Smith was reputably not good at throughout the last season. Inside of Season 3 of the CCL, they were 5-15 overall when it came to the search and destroy maps that they played. They went to 5 different Game 5s, and unfortunately, weren't able to win any one of them. So if that doesn't go ahead and put a damper not only on the clutch gene that they had inside the search and destroy, but a big highlight on why they need to take hard points early and often. I don't know what else could be, but right now it's not looking great, Niner Esports. Although the gap has closed a bit, it is still about a doubled up for the side of JCSU that they're going to have to come back from. You see Anku in the middle of the map. You see everybody's trying to go ahead and rotate back over towards point 2. And if you're Johnson Smith right now, really all you're trying to do is just hold on for dear life and make sure that you can get your guns a little bit warmer, maybe try to start a comeback a little bit later on, but all in all, again, it's just going to be sitting there getting ready for that search and destroy, at least right now.
Yeah, there's this one. Niner Esports closing in on 200 points. Like you said, maybe at this point you start to switch gears a little bit towards that map 2 mentality, but there's still a chance, right? If you can get a good 60-second hold and start to carve things back, suddenly this game is looking much differently, but trying to show signs of rotation and life here as they're trying to break into this one. But again, it's just Niner Esports playing a little bit too strong, a little bit too dominant to get things going here. Now 20 points away from that double century mark. JCSU haven't quite hit the century mark yet. They're going to try to look to have to do it off of a rotation, but once again, it's just been the breaks from Niner that they haven't been able to bounce back from, and all the spawns being relatively close. They're just doing a great job at holding them off, and so as they're going to be nearly at the 200 mark here as this P3 pops, JCSU trying to get loose, trying to get to the spots they need to activate their players, and like you said, trying to get warm for this map number 2. Niner Esports looking to try to close out here on the next 2 hills.
Dark was on a 6 spree, 20-14 for the side of Niner. You got 3 players who are all eclipsing that 20 kill mark. The side of Johnson C. Smith, you're just trying to push right back on in towards the point, but Anku's going to be there shutting down every hope and dream that you have from the A-bomb site. Kreza, a nice little slide challenge around the corner, will find 2, but not enough to be able to fly on in. As Fiddy's playing the back window, will slide around the left. You see the player in Kaze, who unfortunately, after finding a kill, will be traded out instantaneously. 25 seconds left. If you hold this down without any sort of contention from JCSU, you'll be able to go ahead and find this game, but as the break comes in 15 seconds go to the way of Johnson C. Smith, it's just going to be a rotation here from Niner Esports, and of course, just trying to hold on and not get 100 point club here in map 1.
Definitely, just keep that mental, keep it good, keep it sharp, right? You just want to try to get the points that you can here. And again, they have these rotations, but Niner just having their way on the map, rotating where they want to, getting the hill time that they want whenever they need, needing only about 15 seconds here to close this one out. Again, the slang, nothing crazy dominant on the side of Niner. Few players here over 20 kills. It's a good thing to see going into a map 2 S&D. You just want to be loose, want to be ready to go, and it's exactly what Niner Esports are looking. Time pretty evenly spread across all of the team members too. So just a solid 4-player performance here from Niner to kick things off. Is like we mentioned, they want to take this in a 3-0 fashion. They want to take it as quick as they can, make that statement game, and go running with it. So that's what they're looking to do here. Is they're going to win in a dominant fashion by 150 points, and that's the way to open this rivalry up, right? That's the way to get things going. Is the 100-point club your opponent and just try to take the wind out of their sails early, and that's what they're looking to do.
Niner Esports, last season, they were demolished in an 0-3 fashion against the side of JCSU. This time around, the rivalry, they're trying to tie things up 1 apiece in terms of overall series count, 250 to 100. Not necessarily a 100-point club, sure, but it's right there. They hit triple digits. Yeah, it looks prettier on the scoreboard, but at the same time, you still lose by 150 points. So, point differential for the side of Niner Esports still holding true overall, but they get map number 1 done on Bacage. Now we go to a search and destroy on Tuscan, and this is where things get a little mixy, because if you are the side of Johnson C. Smith, the biggest thing that you have to take a look at here is last season, you were abysmal in search and destroy. I said it already, I'll say it again because that's the biggest thing we have to look at here now, is that you have 3 players returning from the same roster that went 5-15 in Search and Destroys overall last season. How is that same roster, how is that core 3, how is that trio going to be able to respond into a new season, into a new game, into a new title on a new engine, with new guns, new weapons, new everything, and be able to resurrect their Search and Destroy to at least the point where they're going even or being able to match and outplay their opponents inside of Search and Destroy. Right now, Cash, the biggest thing, the funniest statistic at least that I've seen this season, is that now that they've won 2 Search and Destroys in the 2 series that they've played, they've already won more than 30% of the maps of Search and Destroy that they did last season.
And maybe it's just that. I know you mentioned, the 3 returning. How do they fix that? Maybe it is a new game, new movement, new guns, new everything. Maybe that's what they needed to kind of just give them a fresh look at S&D and everything that they were working with. The core 3, obviously, at least to their knowledge, weren't the problem. So they were confident in their ability as players and in their chemistry and rapport. And they're just looking to expand and grow in that. Picking up a new player, I think that adds fresh life and fresh blood into the team. And maybe the S&D skill that they're looking to close the gap with. Like you'd mentioned, they're already well on their way to improving on where they were last year. And it starts here. It starts by showing that, hey, we're not scared to not only win our S&Ds, but if this ends up going the distance, that we're not scared to get to a game 5. We're confident in our ability to close it out. So, of course, it's early on in the season, and seeing more of this team will give us more insight to if we've really seen that improvement in Search and Destroy. But I think with bringing back those 3, you're just confident in this new title, confident in the young player you've brought on, and the fact that you can work with it and start to build upon the things and the mistakes you were making in the previous season.
Take a look at the statistics here. 26, 27, and 26 across the board there for the 3 top fraggers on Niner Esports. Of course, the untraded kills, well, those are going to be something that are sticking out every single time. It's going to be that thorn in the side of JCSU that you really want to be able to resurrect and correct going into a Search and Destroy. But again, overall, it wasn't like it was that big of a disparity when it came to the slaying department early on in the game. Actually, JCSU was up for a good bit of time. It was just the fact that the team plays weren't there in the hill time. As you can see, it struggled greatly because of that. Sure, you can outslay your opponents at every corner, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to equate into hill time. So that's something that you need to go back to the drawing board with. Right now, Niner Esports, they look good. However, it is Bacage, so can you take a whole lot out of that? Yes, but at the same time, no. Although they were able to go ahead and win by 150 points of Bacage, so that also does give you a little bit of a green light and say, hey, this is probably something we're going to be able to do multiple times and throughout multiple maps against this same roster. But again, Tuscan Search and Destroy. You go into this map, and kind of the win condition of this series for JCSU was to take 1 Search and Destroy and at least 2 respawns, which you had looked good in, against weaker opponents inside of your pool, but at the same time, you still looked good inside of those hardpoints. A 95-point hardpoint differential doesn't just come out of the blue for a team that might be struggling in that department. So, Niner Esports, yeah, awesome. You guys won map number 1, but JCSU, this is your prime opportunity to show everybody that, hey, they're wrong about the predictions coming into this series, and of course, you have fixed and practice your Search and Destroy like we all hope you have done, and of course can show that off here. Is that going to be the case? Maybe, but right now it's Niner Esports that are winning the battle of Queen City.
Yeah, they took it early and they took it dominantly, and like you had mentioned with the slaying, it doesn't always tell the full story, especially in Vanguard where, you look at the squad spawns and you look at the time to kill. Slaying doesn't always equate to map win and hill time, and it did for Niner. So right now they're firing on all cylinders, but like you said, prime opportunity for the players for JCSU to come out, say, this is where we struggled last year. It's not going to be a weak point for us this year, and we're going to bounce back, take this in 3 maps, even though we have to go to a map 4. We want to get it done. So this is their chance to, like you said, bounce back and make that statement that they weren't making last year. And that could be a huge tide turner for their entire season. It could just send them into that upward projection. You face some team, a team that can really give you a run, give you a challenge in a rivalry match. This could be huge for the momentum. So this is a bigger S&D than what it looks to be for this JCSU team, as they're going to start off now getting blooded off the rip.
Fitty, nice snipe to open things up on the Tempest. That's a great way, if you are the side of Niner Esports, to continue the slaying that you had inside of map number 1 into map 2. Up and towards the top of the church, you see that player and the bullets that are going to rain upon you. Fortunately enough, you'll be able to escape with your life, even though you got peeked out first. Easy. Trade on the Smiley, so now it was a 3. What was just very quickly a 3 versus 3 is now a 3 versus 1. Kaze, last one alive from the side of JCSU, so what was hoping to be a promising defensive round to start things off really has not looked up for them just yet. B-bomb rotation is going to be in, 45 seconds left there, and the time restriction is in. You got to get 3 kills and a defuse. Good luck to you, Kaze.
Time definitely not in the favor of someone in a multiple 1v name the number situation, but time's not really going to be a factor there. As Niner get in and execute an offense really well. Not only do they win the initial first blood battle, but they get across the map and get the bomb down. So just a really productive round from them. They look good. I mean, like you said, just translating from that hard point, picking up where they left off, not only slaying, but just working around the map as a team. And it looks like they're very decisive to start. So we'll see how JCSU can bounce back on their own offensive round, see if they opt for a quick bomb plan. But we're going to see this opening break go to this A side.
Golden Bulls getting brazy up in the middle of the map. First blood going to go the way of Tempest. Headshot going to take one clean off the map. 15 seconds off in the round, but the bomb will go down. So time restriction now for a Niner Esports retake. Tempest around the corner. You don't want to push this player, but as he gives up the angle, he's going to be able to re-peek it, and all that's just pretty. Johnson C. Smith will take a round here. Tie things up 1-1 on the board, but a really nice aggressive push on the offensive side there. Allows them to go ahead and open this game up.
Great way to answer back as well. And having the snipers, having Tempest be able to answer back in that round the way that he did, again, just opens up that left side, or that top side of the map. It just secures it for you, just makes it a little more hesitant as far as challenging goes. So that's what let them get that quick A plant down that worked out very well in their favor. So almost two identical rounds in the sense of bomb got down, players got slayed, and there wasn't much more to it. We'll see how things look to go here if Niner Esports look to switch up their strat, but maybe it'll be a tale of who wins the first defense, as both these teams look good on offense.
Thus far, it has been the tale of two snipers. Fiddy versus Tempest. It's been fun to watch throughout these first three rounds. Fiddy, though, will open up the round there with the first blood. And a head pop that comes with it. 4 versus 2 now. Niner Esports on the offensive side work their way back over towards A, and it should go down, and it will. Players number 5 and 6, that's Kreza and Tempest. Last two alive, one with a sniper. Other one just trying to play all the way back through the back of the map. You see Anku there, you see everybody else near the church. The biggest thing here is being able to get behind a few players. You pick up the MP40. Is it going to be enough, though? Only time will tell, but you only have 30 seconds left to work with here, so you got to be quick. And there's going to be one all the way in the back. Should be able to catch them both on rotation.
It's exactly what happens, and Kreza getting spotted there with the other player in that round who ended up getting dropped. That just let Smiley go back, and you know, he wasn't sure if he wanted to watch the flank or wanted to continue to watch the angle that he was initially, so he just dropped all the way back and said, good luck getting behind us, because I'm just going to sit, hold this spot, not let anyone cross, and that's exactly how that round ended. So just great adjustment and adaptation out of Smiley to recognize, hey, I'm not sure where this player went. I can put the map to my back and get things done. So they go well there. 3 offenses off the rip here on Tuscan. It's been good so far. I like the sniper battles we're seeing. I like everything that's going down on the map. I like how Niner are playing. 2-1 here to start, and this is going to get mixy here in the mid-map.
3 players sitting in a corner. Shades of Optic Gaming on Moscow. Tempest will hop up towards the top, though. You'll hear somebody over towards the right, and Smiley will win a huge gunfight up and towards the top. Kreza slides on in. We'll trade out Fiddy, so it's a 2 versus 2. Back into the middle. The pre-aim is there. Survives with 1 HP. Hey, how you doing? Easy, all the way out and towards the back of the church. Smiley can just play this. We'll drop down to the middle of the map. Sound cue, potentially. You'll rotate back over out towards the A site. Should be able to get this down to Smiley. Goes to check B.
On a 4 streak, too, so obviously you have the initial thinking of, you know, playing slight precautionary, but good timing here. Maybe the trigger discipline. Kreza not going to come around the corner and check. Instead, going to try to wrap through church, so Smiley just kind of waiting for that. Will he try to hop the bomb? Will Kreza end up peeking? This timing is going to be wondrous, as right now Smiley is just not sure where this player is, trying to clear out you, trying to get an idea, maybe saw... Didn't end up seeing anything, so just having to clear, killing so much time, and right now, all Kreza has to do is just kill time and check the bomb last second, and gonna hop off, gonna try to get the gun kill, and not gonna. JCSU, would you look at that, another offensive win as we're doing 2-2 here, going into round number 5. Way to just kill time and dance around, and unfortunately for Smiley, just not able to get any information on where Kreza was, and that's what was ultimately his demise, is he just could not get any information onto where that last player was.
I mean, so many things had to go right there as well.
Yeah.
In order to win that for Kreza. I mean, sure, you know, you're coming around the building and, you know, you plant that bomb, you know, say that player that's pushing from behind then goes ahead and challenges the bomb, hops off, and then so many different timing spots that you got after the fact. But as we go ahead and surge on another offensive rounds have been won so far. Who will be able to break the trend You get ahead of one another inside of this game. Tempest with the sniper up and towards the top of the church. We'll look up towards the top of the building. Oh, somehow that doesn't hit. Papega. We'll be seeing that shot next year. Maybe once a mulligan on that one, but 40 seconds. Bomb over towards A. Looking for a retake now. And Dark is playing this so smart. Oh, but a peek around the corner. Easy will peek in. Now it's going to be on Kaze to try and go ahead and get back out. Smoke going to come through. Dark's going to try and flank from behind. Can't get one, so that's going to be 4 versus 3. A first blood comes through, but you only have 25 seconds left to get back to the bomb. Tempest trying to work the sniper out over towards A. Won't be able to hit the second shot either. Goes for the pistol. Back and forth. Dodging, bobbing, and weaving. Won't be able to find that kill, though. Kreza, 12 seconds left. 2 versus 2. You've got to be able to hop on the bomb now. Won't be able to get it done. Another offensive round win for Niner Esports, and we still have yet to break the trend where a defensive team gets a round win.
Niner Esports even go hunt down that kill. So again, a little bit of love being shown here in this rivalry. Just you can just tell it's just so competitive. These teams are so eager to win, and it's been offensive heavy, which is just crazy that not a single defense has been won. So maybe that'll be what ultimately decides our match. They've kind of just been trading blows here, no one able to get out to an early lead. So do you think what we've seen thus far is that good adaptation out of JCSU to take this round for round and not let a substantial lead grow out? Do you think it's an adjustment from the first game or even last season? Or do you think Niner Esports just can't find any firm footing? The sniper maybe not working out the way they want to?
See, the thing is, right, from what I've seen, it just seems like neither team has been able to find a direct rotation over on the defensive side of things. So I think they're kind of okay right now just going back and forth on offenses. Now, that's not to say that they don't want to win a defense or go up by a substantial margin in the search and destroy. But I think that as this game progresses on a little bit further, I think we'll start to see these defensive adjustments come out. But, I mean, right here, you're already seeing from the side of JCSU a push over towards B. But this is going to be caught up by Niner Esports. They've already got a couple players waiting, and Dark's going to be the first one to line up the shot. Smiley there. You got 2 down. Another one's going to slide on in. Dark and Smiley, they're there to go ahead and pair for a couple more. Now it's Tempest in a 1 versus 4. You've got a sniper. Sniper's really good this year. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to get you a 1 versus 4 clutch. You might be able to see... Oh, I think he got Smiley in the middle. Somehow doesn't connect! That's just the story of Smiley's game so far. JCSU will lose the offensive round there. They get a little over-aggressive. They try to change things up. It just doesn't work.
I think that all started behind Smiley and the trigger discipline that he showed. Not firing on that first player, passing that information along for Dark to come out and get that kill. I just think that was the catalyst for that round for them. So just great patience and information calling. You know the comms got to be on for them to be making plays like that. Smiley at 10-3 on a 5 streak, playing really well. I like how he's just adjusting and playing to the information that JCSU is giving him, passing that along to his team, and that's what has given him now a 2-round lead, the biggest differential we've seen in this S&D thus far, and they're looking to close it out here in a couple of rounds with a B hit going on.
See, that's what you have to do if you're going to hit out towards B. You can't play aggressive. You can't stay inside of HQ. You just got to burst out that door and at least try to get 1 or 2 kills out the gate with a couple of team shots. Unfortunately, though, after that push comes through, you leave Smiley, who again is on a 5 spree in a 1 versus 3. Very doable. If there was anybody I'd want alive in this situation, it'd be Smiley. Makes work a little bit easier. 28 HP to his name, but is able to get the first kill there out of 3 that he needs. 2 more left around the map. Bomb down on B, so you can play this together, but they're also playing it very, very spread apart, and I don't know if I like this, because if Smiley's able to go ahead all the way towards the back of the spawn, maybe find 1, that allows for easy pickings if the second one's going to push up, but as Tempest doesn't spot Smiley over towards the left, Smiley, I thought maybe, just maybe you win that gunfight, but JCSU, they answer back with a defensive round of their own, still just a 1-round margin between both of these teams.
I really thought Smiley might have had a chance at that. Tempest, again, just smart gameplay, waiting for that audio cue and then knowing where the bomb is, going and checking that with an MP40. Got to be feeling good here. 1-round difference between the 2 teams, and maybe here if Keza can get a little warm, maybe bring that force support for the team, get a couple more kills on the board, they'd be feeling a little bit better. But Smiley getting things done on the side of Niners. They're going to try to take this defensive round back to back.
Easy blood on the board. Trade immediately, though. Dark is there to find the second and make it maybe number 3. Shots aren't there. Draws a circle around his opponent. 1 versus 2. Kaze, what can you do here against Smiley and Anku? You get the first, but the second one is there for an immediate trade. Niner Esports now at match point. 5-3. Johnson C. Smith. What is the answer here? Down 2 rounds, needing 3 straight in order to make this series 1-1.
For me, their answer is playing together. like you had said in that 2v1 situation, that Smiley essentially, well, what was a 1v3, essentially had three 1v1s, and though Tempest was able to win that and not let things get any mixier than what they were, I'd like to see them group up, make decisive plays here on the map together, and not play spread, because you know Niner Esports, you know they can take these gunfights, and so if you're there for the trade, we saw the non-traded kills be an issue on the first hard point. Let's not let that be an issue here on this S&D, as Tempest is going to pick up the first and already looking okay to start.
Anku reads the rotation back through middle map. Unfortunately, though, you weren't able to get the tagging kill for a trade. And as Kreza peeks around the corner, the head glitch just too bearable there for Anku to be able to find any success with in a gunfight in a one-on-one. Up the staircase, Smiley, Dark, trying to work this together. 2 versus 4, again, doable. Unfortunately, though, you won't be able to get the first. Smiley gets the trade, but it's immediately caught off after the fact. So, defensive round win there from the side of JCSU on the backhand of Tempest being aggressive up through the middle of the map and getting that first blood. They ride that wave all the way through the end of the round. You still need 2 rounds in order to win this game, but one will force a round 11, which then in turn could give the side of Niner Esports maybe that little bit of a nervous edge.
Yeah, get Niner uncomfortable, get them on their toes. Don't let them just walk into this one. You don't want to go down 2-0 in a series. That is a rivalry. That is a battle for Queen City. You want to keep this competitive, and so it is 2 rounds in a row that you have to win, but you've got to start getting some more kills on the board. Again, if Tempest to find success up the middle of the map, play around that, play around your strengths, but Niner Esports, man, they're going to force the mistake out of JCSU, and that is exactly how this will go. First blood goes untraded.
Streak going to be used over the top. You have the fighter pilot come on in. Fortunately, though, if you are JCSU, nothing taken off the board just yet. Fitty will play slow even towards the top of the church. Anku pushed up in the middle of the map, and you can see how JCSU is just playing so passive here. They don't know what they need or want to do. And if you're easy here, yeah, I get the sniper has been great for your team thus far. But Tempest was really the one who was making it work early on. Easy really hasn't found much in the way of the sniper. It's just been, honestly, engagements where he's been caught off guard. Had to have the pistol in the hand, and that's not going to really be of much use against an automaton or an MP40 at close range, even though you'd love to say you stand a chance. Everybody's still up from the side of Niner Esports. 25 seconds left. The push going to be out. Kreza, though, trades for the 3-3. Fitting on the staircase, almost loses the gunfight, and does to a challenging Kreza. Smiley tries for the trade. You got one pinching from the back. You've got the play coming through. 1 versus 2. Kazan, 1 versus 2. Can't get it done. Niner Esports, a 2-0 lead in the series with another round win in the search and destroy. Right now, it's not looking good for JCSU as they lose yet another search and destroy.
It's not looking good, and I love how Niner Esports opted to play that round. They were on defense. They knew they didn't have to win 2 rounds in a row to win, and they just let the clock, let the situation and circumstances play to their advantage. They sat back and made JCSU make the first mistake, and I think that's just wonderful gameplay, wonderful recognition out of them to know they're the ones with their backs up against the wall. They're the ones that have to make the play, not only on offense, but just to take this series to a game number 5 and to possibly take this map number 2. So just their awareness right now is just really impressive to me. How they're making these adjustments, knowing when and where to apply pressure. That's what's got them up 2-0 in this series, and I'm impressed with how they're playing so far.
Take a look at the statistics now from that last game, and I'm sure that if you were watching the screen, well, you could very clearly see one player in particular stands out amongst the rest, a player that goes ahead and gets more kills than the rest of the team combined. Smiles all around there. 16-5 for Smiley in map number 2. 11 non-traded kills in an S&D is quite unfathomable, and almost 2,000 damage overall inside of an S&D, not only against a rival school, but of course to go ahead and give your team that undefeated edge in search and destroy. You stay undefeated in map counts throughout the entire year thus far if you are the side of Niner Esports. And for UNCC, well, here's the thing. One more map closes out this series. You looked great in map number 1. Map number 2 went your way with flying colors. All you got to do now is just find a way on Tuscan to close out a hard point. And for JCSU, well, unless you can show anything except not getting 100-point club, still on map number 1, this is looking like an unfortunate 3-0 sweep.
It is looking unfortunate, and for them definitely dire, as you're going to go back to Tuscan. And of course, on a respawn, that's going to play differently. That's going to play a little bit faster for you. But I just think Niner look comfortable on the map. Even on their initial offense, if you can recall, the first thing they did was flood up A side, get the first bloods cleared out. They rotated through Church to B. They just looked very comfortable, and everything looked decisive for them. Even going back to their hard point, they looked like they were rotating on the map decisively. If they had to make a break, they were comfortable doing it. And behind the gunpowder of Smiley, behind the players that they have, they were having their way not only in the hard point, but also in S&D. So right now I have to confidently say that this is going to go the way of Niners, just based on how well they're moving around the map, how well repped they look in the modes that we've seen them in, and the maps as well. Going back to a Tuscan, if I'm JCSU, you've got to figure it out quickly. You don't have much room for error. I know it's a 250-point game and a lot can happen, but man, you've really got to come out and make a statement. Even if you win by 1 point, you've got to make something happen here, make it competitive, just to keep your series hopes alive. And to keep this rivalry, interesting and competitive. Rivalries never die, but no one likes a blowout season, so you want to keep it competitive and get it going, and that's what they want to do and have to do here in order to not get swept, like you said. But Tuscan Hardpoint's going to be the map, and for them, what do you think it has to be to turn things around?
Well, I know what it'll be. It'll have to be not only a win, but of course, to keep the series alive, you've got to win to 3 more. Reverse sweep's got to happen. But to answer that question, we'll just have to wait and see. We're going to throw things to a quick break. When we return, it's going to be the Battle of Queen City, potentially coming to an end with one final map. We'll be back in just a minute here in CCL Season 4. Well, this series hasn't been exactly what we were hoping for. A 2-0 lead for Niner Esports is where we stand right now, but the Battle of Queen City, it still rages on, and we hope for a hard point here on Tuscan that will go in the favor of Johnson C. Smith. Maybe it's a guilty pleasure for us at home that we want to see this series last a little bit longer than we've kind of predicted. But either way, my name is McCormill. With me is Cash, and of course, this is only match number 2 of the day on the Bravo stream. We've got one more after this, so Call of Duty action not done here for the rest of the night. Also, going on at the same time, I know you just saw it before we came back from break, but the Alpha stream also going on right now, twitch.tv/collegecod. It's literally exactly what you see here on the Bravo stream, just without the Bravo at the end of it. So, if after this match is over, or even right now, you want to go ahead and pull up both of those streams, absolutely go ahead and do so. But as we get back and focus our attention here to Niners versus JCSU, really, Cash, my question for you is, after what we've seen so far, do you think this is going to be a 3-0, or do we have a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for Johnson C. Smith?
Based on what we've seen so far, I've got to go. This is a 3-0, and as like you said, as unguilty pleasure that is for us tonight, wanting to see the series extended, a statement is still being made nonetheless for Niner Esports. As we had mentioned previously, they were 3-0'd the last time these two teams faced off. So as much as we want this to go on longer, Niner Esports are out here making magic happen in a 3-0 fashion. So based on what we've seen, I've got to go with that. We're going to go back to a Tuscan hardpoint, one that they just moved around and had their way with, and an S&D. So I got to pretty confidently say it's going to go the way of Niner Esports.
Biggest thing that I've taken away from this series so far has to be JCSU not necessarily living up to their potential, but more or less it's been the team playing a bit too passive. And what I mean by this, right, is you look at a roster that last year was 5-15 in S&D. It didn't have a great hardpoint record overall at 14-12. So, again, they were a mid-pack team. We understand that. We see that. But with a team that has aspirations into the new season of being, a top 25 team, a top 16 team when we go into playoffs, it definitely raises a few eyebrows knowing that already we're seeing some of the plays and some of the team pushes that they are making together not really come to fruition. And for example, like we saw on map number 1 of Makaj, it just, the slaying was there. It was great, but nobody was hopping into the hill. Nobody was getting those important kills that was equating to a lot of hill time. And then the search and destroy, we saw the same thing. After somebody got picked, all of a sudden, it just seemed like nobody knew what to do on the map. Everybody was so passive. Everybody was just sitting back, and they were just waiting for they were waiting for UNCC to push into them for the kills, equalize trades out in rounds, and that's just not going to happen 99% of the time unless the egos are just massively inflated from the series that they've already played so far. So in this hardpoint specifically, if you're the side of Johnson C. Smith University, really, it's a good luck to you, but more importantly, just try to make those team plays together and really focus on getting set up for a hill. You can take 5-10 seconds of time before you push in towards the point just to make sure everybody's in a position to not only find trades, but to be able to push from separate angles.
That's definitely going to be crucial here, especially on a map like Tuscan, where rotations are going to be so important, and rotating as a team and being decisive is going to be a difference maker here. As Niner Esports are going to rip 20 seconds off of this first hard point, one that we usually see a little mixy and a little dicier. JCSU going to try to get a contest on, but we see two people holding on this hard point, and what is it? Through the mid-map, we see two Niner Esports players already making a rotation over to P2, winning that battle, now looking to kill this last player and flip out spawns. JCSU going to have control of them for now, but just the pressure and the pressure and presence they have on the map, super dominant to start. Nothing different than what we've been seeing. And as this new hill pops, I don't think these players are aware that Niner Esports are here.
Well, if I'm the Golden Bulls, I'm a little bit scared of playing Tuscan comparatively to Bacage, because when you're allowing a team like Niner Esports to dominate you on a map like Bacage, it shows that, well, you're not able to thrive in chaos, but number two, even the amount of kills that you have can equate to literally anything when it comes to map presence. So on a map like Tuscan, where you can easily dominate the map, you can easily get that presence around every single hill, you're going to be able to lock down 30, 40, 50, even 60 seconds of time on some hard points by just getting kills out through the front, and that's already what we've seen. Niner Esports have been in full control from start to P2 already, and with 20 seconds left, they'll get the scrap time. Sure, JCSU might be on the rotation now as you see them on the left side of your screen, but is that going to be enough for them to come back in this game? Surely not just yet. Because guess who's going to be there for the break? It's already Anku, who's going to flutter on the corner and catch one with bad timing. Finally, Kreza, though, from the side will be able to find the kill. So you get that traded out, you'll live to see another day.
We're going to see this hit come in from all lanes of the map here for Niner Esports. JCSU just trying to hold information, hold their angles, and get things relayed over to the team. They're not quite pushed out of the hill, so these Niner players will be spawning pretty close to the hill as they're looking to break their way in from the top. Now reinforcements trying to work back for JCSU as they're going to break in from the front and hold there. Now these players having to work back in, so the breaks are just coming way too easily. That's kind of been the tale for this JCSU team this evening. It's just been whenever they get broken, they aren't able to get back in, they aren't able to find success and work for scrap time. So Niner Esports, they've just been having their way around the map the entire time. The breaks that they've been having, the ways that they're able to push through these hills, it's been working out wonderfully for them. And again, the slaying on top of that is just kind of the icing on top of the cake for them here. Is even if they don't win the rotation, well, you know they're going to try for that break and more than likely get it. And so for JCSU, you need an answer, and you need it now because this one is already running down a slippery slope.
Tempest goes ahead and gets streaks. So that's, you get a little consolation prize. But really the thing is, right, we talk about all the time how, you know, you don't want to play for the last 15, you know, maybe 20 seconds of scrap most of the time. You don't want to push out of position to get that. At the same time, though, it's realistically the exact same thing as rotating early and then getting broken out instantaneously.
Yeah.
Sure, you're getting a bit of time, but does it really matter all that much? No, because you're getting broken out immediately. Finally, though, we've seen JCSU have a decent hill here inside of the church. Kreza will look out towards the front, but you got one player left in from behind. That's going to be Fitty, who will fall. Smiley's going to try and be an entry fragger in towards the doorway, but with 25 seconds left, it's once again the same situation. I kind of just highlighted, you know, why my push for these last 20 seconds of time. It's really not going to amount to all that much.
Yeah, and I didn't really like the player there out of Kreza to run off of hill time to try and chow two players outside the door. Maybe, you know, thought it was just one, but again, hold the hill, hold the time. That's what you need. So to chow out of that, I just don't think that was really necessary for them, and ended up costing them the last bit of scrap time here. And kind of the tale for Vanguard has been the slaying doesn't really equate to hill time, right? Right now, JCSU, they do look pretty solid on the slaying side. Maybe one player having a little slower start, but it really is how you're going to work as a team and how you're going to play around the information you can get on the map. Is they're getting early time here, but the slaying not going to do much for them if they're getting broken on these first hits.
5 spree there for Kreza. Streaks now for JCSU. I believe it's 2 players with streaks, with Tempest and Kreza both having a glide bomb into their name. Fitting into the middle of the map. You look to Kreza, who's on 6 in a row. But towards the top of the church, maybe just trying to play a pinch with the rest of the team. You want to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a bad position to where you can't get back over towards the point when the reinforcements get there on the side of Niner Esports. Now, good news is if you are a fan of the Golden Bulls, well, you've gotten yourselves back into this game just a bit. These last 10 seconds should go to your team. Although you're not going to actually be able to get this last time. It's only a 50-point lead for the side of Niner Esports, which was about 90 points at one point in this game. So, there you go. Already, you're starting to claw your way back in. Problem, once again, though, is that point number 1 and 2 were solely in the possession of Niner Esports last time. That's where they were able to build their lead. Streak usage going to come in. Is it going to matter all that much? The answer right now, well, of course, is no, because you could eat a missile directly to the face with one little bit of perk on you.
Love the effort we're seeing here out of JCSU as the second set of hills pops. Already this P1 is way more contested and in their favor, more than was the first time around. So showing some life, showing some grit here on this Tuscan hard point, and now a 50-point game. Like you said, what was once 90 points is starting to claw their way back from. Now, did they lose those right side of the map spawns? Sure, they recognize that and they're trying to work back for it, but Niner Esports don't really care. You can have this P1 hill time. We got a full 60 on P2, so we'll just play for that, but JCSU now actually going to cross the century mark and get well above that for the first time in this series, and now working over to this P2. Now they have to get a break early, and they have to be able to make a substantial hold. This is what the series is going to come down to. Can they take a hit and keep rolling with it, or are they just going to let Niner Esports kind of have their way and impose their will?
And this is that turning table moment, right? If you're Niner Esports out, you hold this hill down, and you're walking into the sunset with a nice little win and a 3-0 sweep over the side of JCSU. If you're Johnson C. Smith, well, you hop into this point, be able to get a few kills here. Fine this time. You're right back into this game. You're looking at maybe a 30-point lead for Niner Esports on the flip side when you rotate to P2. However, with the Creza glide bomb kill from over the top, you still got to push on down the ramp. Dark's going to be up and around the corner. Tempest will pair there for number 2, but the spawns are still relatively close from Niner Esports. Nobody going to be able to trade these last couple of kills, but guess what? You played for the last 15 seconds. You tried to get in. You didn't want to have the bleeding be too much to where you couldn't close this game out later. Unfortunately, though, you give up the spawns on the opposite side of the map. The Fountain Hill is going to be held down now by Niner Nation once again in the Golden Bulls. You can try your might. Will it be enough, though, here to save your season? I was going to say save your season, but really just save your pride match.
Will it be enough as they do get these kills on transition and end up flipping these Niner players out? So if you are JCSU, this is everything you could be hoping for this P3. Now it's just, can you get in position and hold these players off, as that doesn't look to be the case. 2 players walk into the hill for free. You're going to end up trying to slay these players out. No one really in possession of the hill. So if you are JCSU, that is a win, because if you can keep these Niner players off, you can keep them from crossing the 200-point mark, and you stand the best chance to close the gap. So Niner Esports looking really slow in the kill department, but again, that's just not translating as far as the scoreline goes, because they can just work around the map so well. They know the rotations, they know the plays they want to make. Because they have the lead that they do, they're able to send more resources on the rotation and win those battles that JCSU just can't afford to send resources to, as they're now fighting for every bit of scrap time. But we're going to see them give up the last 10 seconds here. They got a good hold on this P4, but now with the 100-point lead, Corn, does that really amount to much at this point, or do you think they can really get a good hold here and maybe try to bring things back?
I mean, look, you can always try to get a good hold. Tuscan is one of the maps where you can kind of try and chain hills together. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not, especially against the Niner Esports roster, who has been consistently slaying you out. Now, if you look to the side of JCSU, you already see Creza 33 and 15, 22 and 17 from Tempest. This, again, is not a game where JCSU are falling behind in the slaying department by any stretch of the imagination. Right now, they're almost dead, even if not leading it by a little bit of. They're actually leading it overall on the kill advantage right now. I just had to do the quick math real quick. And the problem with that is again, those kills that you're getting are not equating to anything more than a fancy statistic on the scoreboard. That's a nice, kill column, awesome. But what does that got you? You're down still by 100 points. 10 seconds now for Niner Esports to go ahead and close the series out in a 3-0, and that's just unfortunate. So, the last break potentially comes in. You can still win off of the still if you are the side of Niner Esports. Are you going to be able to close it out here? Maybe you'll get that final tick, but you might have to rotate, and guess who's already there? Player 3. Sure, from behind, they're going to be able to get the kill. And out of HQ, you have to be perfect all the way down to the end. Of course, nobody's going to expect that to happen, and it won't, because it's, well, almost quite literally impossible to do. Fitty up the staircase. You got one to take care of down below, but here comes Anku from the top. The savior and player of the game. You just get a toe on the point to secure it. A 3-0 sweep. Niner Esports, they win the Battle of Queen City. They'll tie the series up 1-1 overall with the side of JCSU in terms of going all the way back to last year in Cold War. Both of these teams now going to have a pride match later on in the season, because these two teams, well, I guarantee you that this rivalry will not cool down over the course of the next few years.
That we will see no cooling down of this rivalry, like you said, as far as overall storylines go. They draw 1-1 here, so if you're Niner Esports, you're glad to walk away with a win in that dominant fashion. You came in and did exactly what you wanted to do. We talked about that and their keys to success and how their season has gone for them thus far. They want to come out, they want to win quickly. They were able to win the respawns in a dominant fashion. Sure, the S&D was close, but once again, I believe that they were confident in their abilities with that, playing to the weaknesses that they know JCSU have shown, especially when you have 3 players coming back. Those S&D tendencies maybe have been hard to break, and so maybe they were able to make those reads there. Granted, it was a new roster. on the side of Niner Esports, but they just look so comfortable and so well repped on the maps that we saw. For JCSU, it's back to the drawing board because you don't want to go down. Sure, the series overall has been drawn even at 1-1, and you got sweep tonight, but man, that just builds and bubbles up the tension and the turmoil inside to try and take this next one. So it's who can draw and go up 2-1 the next time we face off. And I know if you're JCSU, you do not want that series to go this way later this year.
The problem is, right now, if you're Niner Esports, you have gone ahead and beat another strong opponent inside of your division. That's going to boost you up the leaderboard even further. But now you also take a look at the rest of the division, rather the Pool B, inside of Southeast, where you see HPU, you see Clemson, you see Liberty. Those are three other teams, not including Niner Esports, that JCSU is going to have to best if they want to be able to get out of their division and into playoffs. And the biggest problem is I don't think that they have the capabilities, at least right now, early in the season, to be able to do that. Now, if you go a little bit further into the year, they get a little bit more practice under their belt, and the trio paired with Easy is going to be able to finally mesh together, find the synergy that they need, and advance their year. Awesome. Maybe they get back in that conversation, but this is a very early match against a very good Niner Esports roster that is going to set the tone for what the season is going to mean for JCSU. And again, you're now, and I hate to say this early in the season, at a spot where you wanted to be a top 25 team, you might not even be looking at playoffs.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier that the easier part of their pool play kind of already happened. And we talked about the importance of this game. Of course, you know, you want to say the rivalry, you want to say those things, but really just looking at it from a matchup standpoint, it simply came down to the fact that this is a first match of your season that could set you apart and say, hey, we are ready for a playoff run. We can play a team that can throw a couple punches. We'll take them and roll off with a win. Niner Esports did that, and I'm convinced, and I'm impressed with what we saw from tonight for JCSU. This was your first match of the season where you could have really proved, again, making strides and projections toward that top 16 playoff, that top 25 team on the season, and you didn't. You dropped the ball. And so for them, it only gets harder from here on out, right? You mentioned those teams, Clemson, Liberty, everything. You mentioned them, and that's not going to be easier for you. So, again, we've seen teams take these losses and then roll off and really turn it into something productive and turn their season around. So by no means are things over for them now. But at least as far as early viewings go and things that we've seen from them, yeah, it looks like they really have some work to do up and down from their respawns and their S&Ds all the way through. And if you're Niner, keep building on what you've done, but because again, it doesn't get easier for either team. And if you really want to make it out of pool play, yeah, you've definitely got to start making things happen here. So JCSU have plenty to go over for VODs. Hopefully it's not a core issue for them. Again, with those three returning players, hopefully it is something a little more tangible in the game that they can do. The slang looks great. When those players get warm, you know, they look awesome. And we saw that even on the Tuscan Hardpoint. But you look at that scoreline and you would never guess the slang was almost really in favor of JCSU. So for them, it's definitely going to be game stuff and rotation. Slang's nice, but at least I think for them, and maybe you can, say whether you agree or disagree, at least for them, the slang's there, and you can't teach slang, but you can teach rotations, you can teach map knowledge. So at least that's what I'd rather be winning the slang battle, losing the rotations, because you can always teach and learn that, and I don't know if you agree.
Well, I think I agree to an extent. I definitely think that you have to learn slang to an extent too, because that does require a certain skill set to be able to put yourself in the right position at all times in order to maximize what your life is going to be able to produce for your team. But either way, I think that's still definitely going to be an exclamation mark for JCSU, finding out, okay, now that we're getting these skills, what can we do based upon our map positioning to then make that a little bit better, not only for us, but of course to equate into more hill time and of course more kills and or bloods inside of Search and Destroy. Either way, though, Niner Esports, as I said beforehand, they win the Battle of Queen City. They take the advantage over GCSU inside of their pool, and the University of North Carolina, they can walk away happy knowing that they are going to be 4-0 inside of the season thus far, an undefeated record. They'll look to go ahead and push that into the next few games, and of course next week. But the Bravo stream is not done, and neither is Alpha. Still the series going on the Alpha stream, and of course another one that will follow that. And of course here on the Bravo stream, we've got yet another match coming up for us. It's going to be the side of U Ottawa Garnet going up against Queens Esports. That's going to be a fun one. Two brand new teams once again into the CCL. We're going to do a quick caster swap. It's going to be myself and Rome coming up next. Cash, it's been a great pleasure to be able to get not only you on side of the stream, but of course it's your debut in the CCL. We couldn't be happier to have you along for the ride. Folks, stick around. Break coming up, but of course after the fact, I said another best of 5 series to end off week 2. It's going to be a fun one. Stick around. We'll be right back.